Beneath the world's most famous ruins, entire rooms remain sealed and untouched. We are about to venture into 20 hidden chambers, and you will discover the incredible artifacts and untold histories they protect. What secret library was built for a Roman emperor's private thoughts? What lies inside the unopened tomb of China's first emperor, guarded by rivers of Mercury? These are not just empty spaces, they are time capsules that could rewrite everything we know about ancient civilizations. How much of our past is still waiting in the dark? Architects and rulers have always understood the power of a secret. For millennia, they designed hidden chambers not as forgotten closets, but with deliberate purpose. Some spaces were created for solemn spiritual rituals, places where only a select few could commune with the divine. Others were built as ultimate safes, designed to protect unimaginable treasures from the ravages of time and the greed of invaders. The mere idea of a room sealed for centuries taps into a deep part of our psyche, suggesting lost libraries of wisdom or fortunes that have been waiting in silence. Today, our curiosity is met with remarkable technology. Tools like ground-penetrating radar send waves deep into the earth, painting a picture of the unseen. LiDAR systems use lasers from aircraft to map the ground beneath dense forests, revealing the outlines of entire lost cities. This is a quiet revolution in archaeology. We can now peer through layers of stone and soil without ever lifting a shovel, preserving these sacred spaces exactly as they were left. This respectful approach allows us to understand the why, the reason a chamber was so carefully concealed before we ever learn the what. And that understanding makes the final revelation of what lies inside all the more profound. High above the Grand Gallery, a void spans the length of a passenger jet. This is the Big Void, a cavernous emptiness confirmed by cosmic rays in 2017. It is a space so large and so deliberately placed that it defies simple explanation. Was this massive chamber a practical feature, a construction gap designed to relieve the immense pressure of the stone above? Or does it conceal the ultimate prize, the true burial chamber of Pharaoh Khufu, a room that has eluded looters for 4,500 years? The very existence of this space challenges our fundamental understanding of the pyramid. If the known chambers were decoys, what does that say about the pharaoh's final journey? This hidden world beneath Giza suggests the pyramid is less a simple tomb and more a complex machine for the soul's ascent, its deepest secrets still locked away. It stands as a powerful reminder that our maps of the ancient world are still incomplete, with blank spaces waiting to be filled. While the pyramids held chambers for a solitary pharaoh's journey, a very different kind of hidden world thrived beneath the roar of the Roman crowd. Under the iconic arena floor of the Coliseum lies the Hypogeum, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers that was the true engine of the spectacle above. This was not a space of quiet contemplation, but a bustling, gritty backstage where the grand illusions of ancient entertainment were manufactured. Gladiators would wait here for their call to glory or death, while caged animals paced in the shadows and stagehands prepared elaborate sets that would erupt through trapdoors to the astonishment of the audience. Recent advanced scans have peeled back another layer, revealing previously unknown rooms tucked away in this underground network. These were not just storage for props and weapons. Some archaeologists believe they were used for quiet, solemn religious ceremonies held just before the games, a stark contrast to the violent pageantry that would follow. Finding fragments of gladiator armor or the bones of long-dead beasts in these spaces provides a chilling, tangible link to the individuals who passed through. To walk through the Hypogeum today is to understand the cold, engineered reality behind the spectacle, a masterfully designed machine that delivered drama and death on demand. This hidden level proves that the true heart of the Colosseum was not the sand-covered arena, but the dark, complex world that operated just beneath the surface. Far from the chaotic roar of the Colosseum, Emperor Hadrian sought a different kind of sanctuary. His sprawling villa in Tivoli was a world unto itself, a retreat for one of Rome's most complex and intellectual rulers. Here, amidst the sprawling palaces and artificial lakes, archaeologists have peeled back the earth to reveal a secret that speaks directly to the emperor's private mind, a hidden chamber believed to be his personal library. This was no grand public hall, but a secluded room lined with precise niches designed to hold hundreds of scrolls. Its walls, adorned with intricate and delicate mosaics, suggest a space of profound contemplation. Imagine the texts that once filled those spaces, not just dry administrative records, but works of Greek philosophy, volumes of poetry, and histories of the vast empire he governed. This was the raw material that shaped Hadrian's worldview, the private fuel for his public decisions. The discovery transforms our understanding of the man from a distant statue into a thinking, feeling individual who retreated to this quiet room to grapple with the weight of ruling the known world. It underscores a powerful truth that the most revealing spaces in any ruin are often the personal ones, the rooms where a public figure set their title aside and was simply, privately, themselves. This theme of the hidden private self echoes again, even further east, in a city carved directly into the rock. Deep beneath the towering steps of El Castillo at Chichen Itza, a different kind of pyramid exists, one submerged in silent, dark water. This is not a chamber of air and stone, but a sunken sanctuary, a sacred cenote hidden directly under the main temple. To reach it, one would have had to navigate through a narrow, secret passage that opens into a cavern filled with cool groundwater. Here, the Maya conducted some of their most vital and solemn ceremonies, offering precious jade ornaments, intricate gold figurines, and sometimes human lives to Chok, the powerful rain god. The water itself acted as a perfect preserver, sealing away wooden objects, textiles, and fragile remains that would have vanished in any other environment. This gives us an unparalleled window into their world, allowing us to recover the actual objects held in a priest's hand during a plea for life-giving rain. This chamber reveals a civilization that saw the earth not as a solid barrier, but as a permeable membrane between our world and the watery underworld they called Zimbabwe. Their mastery of hydrology was not just practical, it was spiritual, a profound understanding that survival depended on honoring the hidden waters beneath their feet. This theme of water protecting ancient secrets surfaces again in a much colder climate, where another legendary site guards a flooded chamber of its own. But even the watery depths of Zimbabwe could not match the lethal grandeur of a tomb designed for an emperor who unified a nation. The mausoleum of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, is a monument to absolute power and eternal ambition. While his terracotta army stands guard in vast excavated pits, the emperor's own burial chamber remains a sealed and terrifying secret deep within Mount Lai. Ancient historians wrote of an entire underground kingdom, a microcosm of his empire complete with palaces, pavilions, and shimmering rivers of Mercury flowing mechanically through a miniature landscape of the world. These accounts, long dismissed as myth, gained chilling credibility when modern scientific surveys revealed extraordinarily high concentrations of mercury in the soil above the tomb. This scientific evidence suggests the ancient records were not fanciful stories, but a factual warning. The chamber was said to be protected by crossbow traps, rigged to fire automatically at any intruder, a deadly security system for a ruler who feared the afterlife as much as he did his earthly enemies. The potential contents are staggering. The emperor's sarcophagus, likely surrounded by untold riches and artifacts from the dawn of a unified China. To open this chamber would be to peer directly into the mind of the man who standardized writing, currency, and law. But the same Mercury that preserved his dream also presents a mortal danger to anyone who would disturb it. This makes the tomb one of history's ultimate locked rooms, a capsule of immense historical value protected by its own lethal design. The contrast between lethal Mercury and simple carved rock could not be more stark. In the rose-red city of Petra, the iconic treasury building presents a facade of unimaginable wealth, its ornate columns and statues carved directly into the cliff face. For centuries, legends swirled that a pharaoh's treasure was hidden within its upper urn. This myth was so compelling that early explorers resorted to dynamite, blasting the stone in a futile search for gold. What they found behind the magnificent exterior was a profound surprise, a single, small chamber that was starkly plain and unadorned. This hidden room, accessible only from a narrow passage behind the main hall, was no treasure vault. Its walls were bare except for simple, functional carvings, and the space itself showed clear evidence of being a tomb or a space for solemn rituals. The true secret of the treasury is this deliberate dissonance. The Nabateans, master carvers and hydrologists, invested all their artistic grandeur on the outside, creating a public monument to power and piety. The inner chamber, however, was reserved for the quiet, spiritual transition of death. Its modesty speaks volumes, challenging our obsession with material riches and reminding us that the most profound secrets are often spiritual ones. This hidden room was valued not for what it contained, but for what it represented, a gateway to the afterlife. Its power derived from its sacred purpose, not from gold. The stone foundations of Machu Picchu rest upon a deeper, more ancient truth. High in the Andes, the Inca did not simply build on the mountain, they became one with it, weaving their architecture into the very rock. Beneath the famous terraces and grand temples lies a sprawling underworld of natural caves and meticulously carved tunnels. This network was the city's hidden circulatory system, serving practical needs like food storage in the cool, stable temperatures and hosting profound spiritual ceremonies in its deepest recesses. In one recently mapped chamber, archaeologists found a scene frozen in time, ceremonial vessels placed carefully beside mummy bundles. These were the remains of the elite, left in a space that was both a royal tomb and a sacred sanctuary. This discovery confirms the site was far more than a fortress. It was a spiritual center and a secluded retreat for the Inca ruling class. The Inca saw these subterranean spaces not as separate from their world, but as the literal body of Pachamama, the Earth Mother. Their engineering was an act of reverence, a way to connect with the divine power they believed flowed through the stone. Machu Picchu's greatest secret is this seamless integration, proving that the most advanced ancient designs were those that honored the landscape they were built upon. This principle of embedding structures within the earth reaches its most extreme form in a city that was not built up, but carved entirely downward into the desert floor. The Minoan Palace of Knossos unfolds like a stone puzzle box, its corridors deliberately twisting to confuse and conceal. Deep within this complex, one particular chamber stands apart, a sunken room known as a Lustral Basin. You would not simply walk into this space, you would descend into it, leaving the world of light behind. The walls here were once alive with color, adorned with frescoes of powerful griffins, mythical guardians that blurred the line between the real and the divine. A sophisticated drainage system carved into the floor hints at its purpose, suggesting that this was a place of ritual purification, where water or sacred oils were used to cleanse participants before they entered into the presence of the gods. This very chamber, with its restrictive access and potent symbolism, is a prime candidate for the legendary labyrinth of King Minos. It is not a maze of endless hallways, but a spiritual one, a place of inner transformation where the human psyche could confront its own monstrous nature. The Minotaur of myth may not have been a literal beast, but a metaphorical one, representing the primal fears one had to overcome in such a sacred, hidden space. The genius of the Minoans was their ability to weave architecture and belief into a single, powerful experience, proving that the most enduring labyrinths are not built from stone, but from the stories we tell about them. Beneath the well-trodden paths of the Paris catacombs, a deeper secret waits in the silence. While millions visit the carefully arranged walls of bones, far fewer know of the sealed chambers that lie beyond, remnants of the ancient limestone quarries that first hollowed out the ground beneath the city. One such room, found only after a section of wall collapsed during a survey, revealed a time capsule not of death, but of life. Inside, archaeologists discovered medieval tools left behind by the quarry workers, their picks and hammers resting exactly where they were set down centuries ago. The walls were etched with inscriptions, simple carvings of names and dates that marked a human presence in the overwhelming dark. These were not the grand declarations of kings, but the quiet, personal marks of laborers who spent their lives extracting the very stone that would build Paris above them. This chamber and others like it were later repurposed during the city's tumultuous revolutions, becoming hidden shelters and secret meeting places. A single room could hold the tools of a medieval worker, the graffiti of a revolutionary hiding from authority, and the dust of centuries in between. The catacombs teach us that a hidden chamber is rarely built for a single purpose, but instead accumulates history, its meaning rewritten by each new generation that finds a use for its shadows. This evolution of purpose from practical quarry to secret refuge shows that the most fascinating spaces are those that have lived many different lives. High on a granite hill overlooking the sprawling stone enclosures of Great Zimbabwe, a secluded chamber stands apart from the rest. This hidden enclosure, tucked within the hill complex, was far more than just another room. Its difficult access and commanding view over the surrounding landscape marked it as a place of immense importance, likely a royal audience chamber where the Munhumutapa, the powerful ruler, would meet with advisors and dispense judgment. The very seclusion provided the privacy and security needed for the delicate matters of state. Within this space, archaeologists uncovered artifacts that tell a story of a civilization both locally powerful and globally connected. Ceremonial iron spears, symbols of authority and military might, were found alongside delicate fragments of Chinese celadon pottery and glass beads from the Middle East. These objects are not random treasures. They are the physical proof of a vast trade network that connected the interior of southern Africa to the Swahili coast and the Indian Ocean trade routes that stretched all the way to Asia. The chamber itself, built with a dry stone walling technique that required immense skill to fit granite blocks together without mortar, is a testament to Shona architectural genius. For decades, colonial narratives wrongly attributed these magnificent ruins to outsiders, refusing to believe that an indigenous African people could have engineered such a complex stone city. The discovery and study of this specific royal chamber, with its clear evidence of sophisticated governance and international commerce, actively dismantles those outdated and prejudiced claims. It forces a re-evaluation of history, reminding us that great civilizations and their hidden chambers of power were flourishing across the African continent, their stories still waiting to be fully heard. The foundations of the Parthenon hold more than just the weight of marble. This iconic symbol of democracy and reason rests upon a bedrock of hidden spaces, long sealed and forgotten. For centuries, the world has marveled at its exterior perfection, but recent geophysical surveys have peeled back the stone, revealing anomalies deep within its foundation. These are not natural fissures but structured voids, chambers deliberately built and then sealed away. Their purpose remains one of Athens' great secrets. Were these the temple's ultimate vaults, storing the immense treasure of the Delian League, the collective wealth of a maritime empire? Could they have housed the most sacred objects of the goddess Athena herself, items too powerful for public view? The potential is staggering. Imagine recovering the original financial records etched on marble, detailing the tributes from allied city-states, or finding ritual objects that clarify the precise nature of the worship that occurred within the main temple. Such a discovery would be monumental, transforming the Parthenon from a beautiful shell into a living archive of the Golden Age. It forces us to see this monument not as a static museum piece, but as a functioning, beating heart of ancient religion and raw political power. Its hidden chambers remind us that the most celebrated structures often guard their deepest truths in the dark, a theme that continues deep within the heart of another sacred mountain, this one not built by human hands. The spiritual power of a mountain did not have to be made of stone. It could be built over a sacred void. The Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan, one of the largest structures in the pre-Columbian world, is not a solid mass of earth and rubble. It is a monument constructed around a secret, a natural cave, and a labyrinth of tunnels that wind deep into the earth below. This hidden world was not merely discovered, it was rediscovered in the 1970s after being deliberately sealed by the city's own inhabitants over 1,000 years earlier. Inside, archaeologists did not find a treasure hoard of gold, but something the Teotihuacanos considered far more valuable. They uncovered ritual offerings carefully placed in the darkness, polished obsidian mirrors that may have been used for divination, and the skeletons of sacred animals, all pointing to ceremonies tied to creation myths. This was a space where rulers could connect with the primordial forces of the underworld to legitimize their right to govern the world above. The tunnel itself is a masterpiece of alignment, oriented with a precision that captures the light of celestial events, proving the city's layout was a literal map of the cosmos. The true genius of Teotihuacan lies in this foundational act, building its most important pyramid not just on solid ground, but directly over a portal to the sacred. It reveals that the entire metropolis, a city designed for over 100,000 people, was conceived not just as a place to live, but as a physical expression of spiritual belief, its urban plan dictated by the hidden chambers beneath it. This deep connection between the earth and the heavens, between what is built and what is found, reaches its most extreme expression in a city that turned its entire landscape into a sacred machine. The very stones of Angkor Wat are a map of the cosmos. This sprawling temple complex, the largest religious monument on Earth, was designed as a physical representation of Mount Meru, the mythical axis of the universe in both Hindu and Buddhist belief. Its iconic central tower rises towards the heavens, but the temple's true foundation may lie in the opposite direction. Deep beneath that sacred pinnacle, ground-penetrating radar has revealed a secret, a series of hidden crypts that have never been opened. These are not accidental voids, but chambers deliberately sealed within the temple's heart, perfectly aligned with its spiritual geometry. What could they hold? The possibilities are as profound as the temple itself. They may contain the lost royal burial of a great Khmer king, a ruler who sought eternal rest at the center of his universe. They could house priceless bronze statues of deities or sacred relics that were too powerful for public veneration. Whatever lies within has the potential to solve one of Southeast Asia's greatest historical puzzles, the peaceful transition of the Khmer Empire from Hinduism to Buddhism. The artifacts sealed in that darkness could tell us precisely how these two great faiths intertwined and evolved within the court, yet reaching them presents an immense challenge. The temple's structure is both massive and incredibly fragile, a delicate balance of sandstone blocks and shifting earth. Any attempt to access the chambers must be done with the utmost care, respecting both the physical integrity of the monument and its enduring role as a place of active worship and pilgrimage. This hidden layer at Angkor Wat confirms a pattern we have seen again and again, that the most sacred architecture often reserves its deepest level not for treasure, but for transcendence, a secret space where the human and the divine were meant to meet. For an emperor, even a city of nearly 1,000 buildings was not enough. Deep beneath the silent courtyards and majestic halls of Beijing's Forbidden City, a subterranean world of vaults was constructed to protect the most vital assets of the Ming and Qing dynasties. These were not mere basements, but climate-controlled archives built to endure for millennia, safeguarding the very legitimacy of imperial rule. While the vast majority of these chambers remained sealed and strictly off-limits, one was cautiously entered, revealing a trove that surpassed mere gold. Inside, researchers found ancient manuscripts, their delicate paper inscribed with the meticulous daily records of the court, and ceremonial robes woven with intricate dragon motifs, their silk threads still holding a whisper of their original grandeur. These objects are priceless historical voices. The manuscripts provide a blow-by-blow account of court intrigues, administrative edicts, and the personal habits of the Son of Heaven himself. The robes are not just clothing, but symbolic armor, each color and creature embroidered onto the fabric representing a specific rank, season, and cosmic principle. This hidden chamber proves that the greatest treasure was information itself. The obsessive record-keeping housed in these vaults was a tool of power, allowing each new emperor to ground his authority in the documented precedents of his ancestors. The sheer scale of what remains unopened suggests a vast, untouched library of China's imperial past lies in wait, a complete archive that could rewrite our understanding of 500 years of history from the direct, unfiltered perspective of the palace walls. A city does not need to rise toward the sky to be a marvel of engineering. The vast underground metropolis of Derinkuyu descends 18 levels deep into the volcanic rock of Turkey, a labyrinth designed not for the dead but for the living. Within this stone hive, entire communities could vanish from sight, sealing themselves behind massive, wheel-shaped stone doors weighing half a ton each. But the city's true secrets are not in its main tunnels, but in its concealed rooms, spaces so well integrated they were only rediscovered in recent years. One such chamber, found behind a collapsed section of wall, revealed itself as a place of both faith and function. Its walls were adorned with fading religious frescoes, a hidden church where early Christians could practice their banned rituals in safety. In the same room, large storage jars called pithoi were set into the floor, holding grain, oil, and wine for the community. This single space was a microcosm of their entire subterranean existence, blending daily survival with spiritual sustenance. The engineering that made this possible was breathtaking. 52 ventilation shafts carried fresh air to the deepest levels, while protected wells tapped directly into the underground water table. Stables for livestock, wine presses, and communal kitchens were all carved with precision, creating a self-sufficient world that could support 20,000 people for months on end. Derinkuyu is not a story of people hiding in fear. but of a civilization thriving in the dark, their resilience carved into the very rock. This profound ability to create a complete society beneath the earth finds a strange parallel in a legend from a different continent, where an entire city of gold was said to be waiting in a hidden chamber of its own. The rolling plains around Stonehenge hold more than just the iconic circle of stones. Recent surveys using ground-penetrating radar have uncovered a hidden chamber, a deep pit situated near the solitary heelstone that stands guard along the avenue to the monument. This was not a grand room of stone, but a carefully dug feature that may have once held a towering wooden post, a silent sentinel marking a celestial event. On the solstice, this post would have perfectly framed the rising sun as it cleared the horizon, casting a long shadow that interacted with the main circle in a way we can only now begin to model. The discovery of antler picks and pottery fragments in the surrounding soil confirms this was not an isolated anomaly, but an integral part of a vast ceremonial landscape. It proves that Stonehenge itself was merely the heart of a much larger, more complex ritual machine, whose components were deliberately hidden just beneath the turf. This single chamber forces us to reconsider the entire site, not as a static calendar of stone, but as a dynamic stage where every element, seen and unseen, played a role in a cosmic drama. The true secret of Stonehenge is that its full story was never just in the stones we can see, but in the echoes of wooden posts and buried offerings that have long since returned to the earth. Beneath the placid surface of the sacred lake at Karnak, a stone staircase descends into darkness. This is the temple's submerged sanctuary, a crypt deliberately built below the water level and accessible only to the highest priests of Ammon. Under the cover of night, they would descend into this humid, lamplit chamber to perform rituals meant to sustain the very fabric of the universe. The walls are a sacred text in stone, covered in hieroglyphs that detail the secret names and aspects of the gods. Here, priests would store and use ritual objects, from golden libation bowls to sacred oils, each item an essential component in a ceremony designed to reinforce the pharaoh's divine right to rule. The location was no accident. By placing this chamber directly beneath the water, the ancient Egyptians were tapping into their most fundamental creation myth, the belief that all life emerged from a primordial, dark ocean called the Nun. Every ritual performed in that space was a reenactment of that first moment of creation, a continuous effort to push back against chaos and maintain cosmic order, or Mot. This hidden room transforms our understanding of Karnak from a mere temple complex into a cosmic engine. Its daily rituals and grand festivals were not just for public show, but were part of a deeper, hidden machinery of faith operating in the dark, ensuring the sun would rise again and the Nile would flood its banks. This seamless fusion of water, stone, and belief reveals that the most powerful ancient structures were those where architecture itself became a form of prayer. Even the most dazzling displays of royal power required a hidden lever. Behind the mirrored walls of Versailles' most famous gallery, a secret chamber allowed King Louis XIV to vanish from public view. This was no dusty storage closet, but a carefully concealed operations room for the exercise of absolute power. From this hidden vantage, the Sun King could observe guests in the Hall of Mirrors without being seen, overhear unguarded conversations, and stage meetings with spies and ministers far from the prying eyes of the court. The room itself was outfitted with the tools of espionage, including early communication devices for passing messages and secure lockboxes for sensitive documents. These papers would have detailed the shifting alliances, betrayals, and personal scandals that were the true currency of court politics. The existence of this space reveals a fundamental truth about Versailles. The entire palace, with its glittering facade and strict public rituals, was a stage, but the real business of governing an empire often happened just out of sight, in the shadows behind the mirrors. This chamber is a perfect example of a hidden space used not to preserve artifacts, but to actively manage and manipulate power. It forces us to see these rooms not just as forgotten corners, but as the control centers that shaped history from the dark. And as we will see, this use of secrecy was not limited to those in power. The very next hidden chamber shows how the exact same architectural principle, a room concealed from authority, could become a tool for defiance and survival. The mirrored halls of Versailles reveal how power conceals itself, but the ruins of the Berlin Wall show us secrecy as a tool of survival. Beneath its fractured remains, hidden chambers were not built for treasure or transcendence, but for a desperate human need, freedom. While the wall above physically divided a city, an underground war was waged in cramped bunkers and covert tunnels. On one side, citizens of East Germany risked everything to dig escape routes to the west, their shovels carving paths of hope through the cold soil. On the other, the Stasi secret police operated monitoring posts, their surveillance equipment listening for the faintest sounds of descent or flight. One such bunker, uncovered in the 1990s, was a time capsule of this tension. Inside, technicians found listening devices aimed at the foundations of nearby buildings and personal artifacts left behind in a hurry: a single worn shoe, a discarded food tin, a scrap of handwritten note. These objects are not ancient relics, they are echoes of lives interrupted just decades ago. They transform these concrete ruins from mere political symbols into monuments of raw human emotion, where the universal desire for liberty literally carved its way underground. This modern example proves that the architecture of secrecy is not confined to the distant past. It is a recurring response to division and control. These hidden chambers document a contemporary struggle, forcing us to remember that the maps of conflict are not just drawn on the surface, but are carved deep into the earth below. Isolated in the vast Pacific, the stone giants of Easter Island keep their secrets close. These monolithic moai, with their solemn gazes fixed inland, are far more than heads. They are full-bodied figures buried by centuries of soil and sediment, and at their bases, archaeologists believe, lie hidden chambers. These are not grand halls, but small, sealed cavities built directly into the stone platforms that anchor the statues. Limited, careful excavations have confirmed their purpose, unearthing cremated human remains and the distinct, cylindrical red stone hats known as pukao. These are not random burial sites. They are the physical anchors of an ancestor worship cult, where the bones of revered elders were interred to imbue the statue with its spiritual power, or mana. The moai were not just representations of ancestors, they were considered living vessels for their presence, their hidden chambers acting as a direct conduit between the living community and the supernatural world that governed their survival. The placement of these chambers and the artifacts within directly connected the island's visible icons to its invisible social hierarchy, proving that the entire society was organized around the spiritual energy contained in those sealed spaces. This makes the potential for further discovery immense. What if other chambers contain not just bones, but wooden tablets inscribed with the lost Rongorongo script, a code that could finally explain the island's precise beliefs? Or what if they hold preserved pollen samples that detail the final, tragic stages of deforestation? The hidden chambers of the moai could hold the definitive answer to the civilization's collapse, a story of ecological limits and social fragmentation locked away in the dark. They stand as a poignant final testament, a reminder that the rise and fall of even the most isolated cultures is often buried just beneath our feet, waiting for the right moment to speak. From the desperate tunnels beneath the Berlin Wall to the spiritual conduits under the Moe, these 20 hidden chambers reveal a powerful pattern. They are not random anomalies, but deliberate creations that speak to universal human needs. Across every continent and era, we have consistently built spaces beyond the ordinary world, and their purposes converge on 4 profound themes. The first is the preservation of power, whether through the secret audience chambers of Great Zimbabwe or the spy rooms of Versailles, where control was managed away from public scrutiny. The second is the facilitation of spiritual rituals, seen in the sunken Lustral Basin of Knossos or the submerged crypt at Karnak, where the divine was accessed in secluded darkness. The third is pure protection, safeguarding everything from imperial treasures in the Forbidden City to entire communities in Derinkuyu from external threats. And finally, these spaces served starkly practical needs, like the backstage machinery of the Colosseum's Hypogeum or the grain storage carved beneath Machu Picchu. The methods of concealment are just as telling, a masterclass in ancient ingenuity. Builders used architectural camouflage, like the plain tomb hidden behind Petra's ornate facade, and natural integration, such as the Pyramid of the Sun constructed over a sacred cave. This reveals a deep, cross-cultural understanding that the most effective way to hide something is to make it part of the landscape itself, either by blending it into the built environment or by sinking it into the earth. Ultimately, these chambers are physical manifestations of their builders' worldviews. They are aligned with celestial events like the solstice marker near Stonehenge, or designed as models of the underworld like the Mercury rivers in the first emperor's tomb. They prove that for ancient societies, the universe was not an abstract concept, but a reality to be physically replicated in stone, water, and hidden space. This recurring impulse challenges us to change how we see these famous ruins. We must learn to look deeper, to understand that the most profound truths are often not in the grand plaza or the towering pyramid, but in the silent, sealed chamber waiting just beneath our feet. Recognizing these patterns does not spoil the mystery. It deepens it, transforming a collection of isolated secrets into a single, enduring story of human creativity, belief, and our eternal desire to reach for something beyond the visible world. Our journey through these 20 chambers ends with a fundamental truth that we do not merely find empty rooms, but the preserved echoes of human aspiration. Each sealed space, from the toxic tomb of a Chinese emperor to the cramped tunnels of Cold War Berlin, represents a profound human need to protect power, to commune with the divine, to defy oppression, or simply to survive. These are not just architectural features, they are the hidden scripts of history written in stone, water, and earth. They prove that our understanding of the past is never complete, that it exists in layers waiting for the right moment to be peeled back. With every new technological leap, from advanced ground-penetrating radar to artificial intelligence that can decipher ancient texts, we gain the ability to read these hidden pages without disturbing their slumber. The map of history is constantly being redrawn, and the next great discovery could be waiting beneath a farmer's field or under the foundation of a world-famous monument. We would love to hear which of these hidden chambers captured your imagination the most. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this exploration, subscribe for more journeys into the forgotten corners of our world. The next time you walk among ancient stones, remember that the most incredible stories are often the ones we have yet to hear, resting silently, patiently, just beneath the surface.